The City of Pembroke Pines and the Frank C. Ortis Art Gallery are pleased to present Conversations with the Curator, a discussion program featuring prominent curators, gallery directors, exhibition coordinators, and more. Conversation topics will include each curator's career development story, advice to artists for exhibition proposals, favorite exhibition concepts, and endearing behind-the-scenes anecdotes. Sophie Bonet is an interdisciplinary artist and curator based in Miami, Florida. Sophie holds a Master of Fine Arts in Visual Arts and a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Visual Arts with a minor in Art History, both of which were attained from Miami International University of Art and Design. She also has a Bachelor of Arts in Anthropology from Complutense University, Madrid. Her background includes studies in anthropology, world history, fine arts, and contemporary social justice issues. Her professional experience includes working in the curatorial departments of organizations such as the Barcelona Museum of Contemporary Art, the Contemporary Arts Museum Houston, and the Village Design Art Gallery in Fort Lauderdale. Sophie is currently the lead curator for ArtServe in Fort Lauderdale. All right, Sophie, we are so thrilled to have you with us here today. We're just really excited to learn more about your background, your personal characteristics and aesthetic. And thank you so much for making time for us today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get started by learning more about you and your background. Go ahead and tell me about yourself as a child or as a teen, and let me know about the early signs of your love for the arts.
Okay. I was very fortunate. I grew up in a creative family. And being the first daughter and granddaughter, I was spoiled a lot in the good way, in the sense that I had a lot of encouragement and support to play and explore in different fields, art, dance, sports, anything I wanted. I was strongly influenced by my grandmother, who was an incredible woman and big patron of the arts all her life. So I grew up exposed to the arts and artists and always had great appreciation for it. And I've always been a curious person. I love history and seeing how it reflects through the arts. Because in Europe, at least in Spain, wherever you go, wherever you walk, it's full of history. Not only from the past centuries, but in some areas, like in the Balearic Island, where my grandfather's side of the family is from, you can still see structures where, that were part of the early civilizations. So I will say that my love for the arts was born out of my love for history, the history of the world. I have great appreciation for all arts and architecture, and I miss that. I miss that here in South Florida.
How so? Can you tell me more about that?
The architectural part, I think. I feel that we're still in the stage of developing our own artistic identity, right? Because it's Miami, Fort Lauderdale is still relatively new
it
city.
Is young.
Yeah. But it's exciting just to be part of it.
And you have a very extensive background in terms of your education in the arts. You have an MFA in Visual Arts from Miami International University of Art and Design, and a BFA in Visual Arts and a minor in Art History from the same institution. You also have a Bachelor of Arts in Anthropology. Did you have a significant professor or mentor who really fostered your love for the arts and your artistic abilities?
Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful to all my professors. Like, honestly, I had the best teachers, each in their own field, special in their own way. I can name them all. Like, I had Veronica Facio and Wes Carson in photography, Judy King and Brian Hadley in ceramics, Miss G.
Judy King is so amazing.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Nico Julis in drawing. So the list goes on, and I have the highest respect for all of them all, because they were not only mentors, but they are also amazing artists that I truly admire until today. So
Well, every professor has their own personal style. Were there any specific educational practices or pedagogical practices that really, really stood out to you, or something that you've continued to reflect on until this day?
You know, I think one of my favorite uh, classes was traditional black and white photography with Veronica Facio. She's a great conceptual artist and good friend of mine, and I had my first dark room experience in her class. I developed my first film. I printed my first image, so that was very special. My medium is experimental photography. I would say non-conventional
Mm-hmm.
methods of photography. There's a technique, it's called photogram, which consists on huh, photography without a camera. So basically, placing three-dimensional objects on
Mm-hmm.
a photosensitive material like photographic paper, for example, and then expose them to the light. Um, and I mean, right now I'm developing in my kitchen, but I do love that experimentation um, part of it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, let's continue down that road a little bit. Can you go ahead and describe for our listeners your personal aesthetic? What style or genre of artwork are you most drawn to yourself?
Well, what really influences my my style, it's what is happening in the world today, and for that reason, like I see my style constantly changing and evolving because I'm not the same person that I was 2 or 3 years ago. Like my interests are not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same way that artists evolve and expand and transcend in their practices, like I experienced a similar process. So I will say that my style is mostly dictated by research, and I am a researcher at heart. So when I get into a theory or concept, I dive in deep into investigation and exchange of ideas with other creatives, and my curatorial process is in part the documentation and
Mm-hmm.
interpretation of that work. Um, there are some contemporary curators that I wouldn't say have influenced my aesthetics, but definitely I look up to.
Can you name any of
Um,
them?
um, Hans Ulrich, of course. He's also a great curator to read, if you
Mm-hmm.
like to read. Another contemporary curator that I follow is Thelma Golden from the Studio Museum in New York. And also, I like Jasmine Wagi. I think she's doing great. What she's doing is great. And she's also an activist that focuses on femme empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I got to learn about her work while researching for my latest exhibition. Um, yeah, so I think
Well,
she's
why don't we use that as an opportunity to discuss your latest exhibition? Disobedient, right?
disobedient. Yes,
Yes.
disobedient, redefining feminism in a fractal reality. That was a collaboration with Carol Ann McFarlane. And it was supposed to run through the month of March and April here at ArtServe, but because of COVID, we had to just cut it short.
Mm-hmm. Tell me what it was like to work with these artists. You have a tremendous artist roster for this particular show. So even though we might not be able to talk very much about how the show ultimately turned out, because it couldn't go on and live its life being seen by the public the way that you had originally intended, why don't we talk about what it was like for you to curate this show? What was it like for you to interact with these artists? What did they bring to the show that really stood out to you?
Um, it was since the beginning, since day one, since my first conversations with Carol, and who, by the way, did an extraordinary work. It was a great collaborator throughout the entire process. It was a transformative experience for me. I had notions, feminist concepts and values, but I never really got kind of like dig deep
Hmm.
into the feminist movements until recently, and I'm a little bit ashamed of saying that, but we did a very deep investigation and research process for this exhibition, and we met with other professionals. We interviewed probably about 20-30 artists. It changed my life. Like, I am not the same person after that show. I would say that up until now is probably one of the most powerful experiences for me, like professionally, not only because of what I've learned, but also the level of collaboration that I had with Carol Ann and with these other 30 artists that we worked with.
I have to say that I really, really appreciate the honesty and vulnerability for you to be able to say that there really was a gap in terms of what you needed to know on this topic. I think that those sorts of insights make a show like this very, very approachable for an audience. You know, the topic of feminism is unfortunately still sometimes rather polarizing for many members of our community. They think that it means something when it doesn't. But for you to be able to actually display this investigatory, transformative experience that you've had through the visual arts, would you say that that possibly created a very accessible and approachable presentation of artworks that viewers could have really, you know, felt invited to participate in?
I think so, but also I feel that it was an opportunity to start the conversation, start the dialogue. But the dialogue has to continue.
Mhm.
We need platforms, safe platforms, where we can continue to have these conversations freely, openly, with all the members in our community. So I think that this exhibition gave us that, that realization that we need to create these spaces.
It's very easy to like present yourself, or for one in a curatorial position to present themselves as an authority on the topic. But I think to open yourself up and say, I'm going to look more closely at this and then share what I find, you know, I think that that's a really refreshing attitude. All right.
Yes,
Well,
no, 100%. If one of the things that I've learned in the past, few months is just to always keep truth to yourself. And I want to use my practice to explore concepts that I'm really passionate about and that I'm curious about and that I want to know more about.
mhm.
So for me, it's a great opportunity. It's a great platform just to dig deep into, different values.
Absolutely. Now, coming from your studio background, how did you discover and eventually choose a career in curatorial work? Can you describe for me the path that led you to such a specific occupation?
Yes. This is going to be a long story, but I'll try to make it short for you. Okay, so got a job. I got a job assisting the research and investigation in the curatorial department in MACBA, in the Museum of Contemporary Art in Barcelona.
Mhm.
And this is a big department. Like, I mean, lots of people, conservationists, curators, collectionists, lots of people involved. And it was an amazing opportunity. I just fell in love with the behind the scenes work.
Mhm.
Um, and I was there almost for a year. I got to work with amazing people. I learned a lot, and the whole experience just opened my eyes to another world of possibilities. And also, it happened in a time where I was really struggling finding my place in the world. Like, I had recently graduated. I was heartbroken because I just had a really bad breakup with my partner at the time. So I
Mhm.
felt like something was unfolding in front of my eyes, like a new path. And after that, I took a sabbatical year. I was supposed to take a sabbatical year, but I ended up relocating to Houston, in Texas, and assisting the assistant curator in the Museum of Contemporary Art in Houston. And that was another crazy opportunity. I remember the first exhibition I got involved with them was a collection of Nick Cave's sound suits, and I didn't know him at the time.
Oh my
I didn't
goodness.
know him, and he creates these most amazing armor suits that are just beautiful sculptural pieces, and I was just blown away. I will never forget that feeling when I first saw the works. And then life happens. I had to move back to South Florida soon after, and I knew I wanted to pursue a career as a curator. So when I got here, I tried to look for opportunities in the arts, and it wasn't easy. It hasn't been easy. We're not in London or New York. Like I said before, our artistic identity is still developing. But I was very lucky. Somehow I've always been able to work in the arts field, and it's a field that I love. And I work for commercial galleries, for non-commercial galleries, as an independent curator, as an art consultant, arts educator, and now I'm in the non-profit cultural organization sector. So it has been an interesting and an amazing journey so far.
Enjoy many different types of environments and really being able to connect with the cultural environment that each of those particular cities or locations offers.
Yes.
So between Barcelona and Houston, and then where you are now, do you have a favorite location, or did you have a favorite city to contribute to?
I love Spain. I love Barcelona. I think that, but I also love Miami. I love South Florida. But I feel that for the first time here at ArtServe, I found something that I didn't have before, and is the opportunity to have my own voice, and kind of like culture that, like nurture my own voice, my own opinion, my own place in the world. Before, I had amazing opportunities, but I was following somebody else's vision. And here, for the first time, it's my show where I'm doing shows that I want to do, that I want to create, and this is something that it's a freedom that I never had before. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, you really do have an amazing opportunity to affect change and foster discussions that you think are really meaningful. Do you feel a great sense of responsibility and pressure with
Oh
that,
my
or
God. Huge sense of responsibility that it keeps me awake at night. It's ArtServe has been and is a great platform. It's an amazing platform. It's an amazing space, and I want to make sure that we utilize the space um, for a greater purpose. So when I curate, when I write and research, and when I think about the exhibitions, I had that in the back of my mind. It has to mean something. It has to have a purpose. If not, it means nothing to me.
Mhm.
So yeah, I know it's a huge responsibility.
I mean, what you're saying definitely resonates with me. My master's thesis was on artistic citizenship and the responsibility of the artist to positively affect their community through their artistic production, so that you're not operating disparate from a community, but that what you produce has a greater good to it. But that in and of itself is deeply subjective, right? It depends on your
Right.
definition of good and constructive. But that is a very, very open an open entry point in and of itself. So some of our listeners might be really interested in learning how you get a job like yours at a place like ArtServe. So do you feel comfortable sharing what the interview process was like for you? What was it like to start out in a nonprofit arts organization? How was that adjustment period for you?
In the case of ArtServe, it was relatively easy compared to other institutions that I worked in the past. In the case of ArtServe, they actually found me. They reached out to me. The executive director that was working here at the moment. And then I remember just sitting down with the entire, with the marketing team and the executive director, and we just had like a very just human what was the main challenges in the organization. And I remember just presenting kind of like a proposal and my own um like overview of what I could bring to the table. And in that proposal I included obviously curatorial proposals, potential artists, potential collectors that I, was able to bring.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the whole logistic part of it, budget and special needs and stuff like that. So, but it was relatively easy compared to other institutions.
What was the thing that they stumbled upon that really, really brought you to their attention? But
Well,
I'm sure, since you were so active in the community as it was,
mhm.
you're probably using multiple platforms that help them to learn about you.
Well, I was gonna say, like the art community, especially here in Broward County, it's not huge. Um, Everyone pretty much knows each other. So, just and my advice will be just make a good impression, be good people, and
Right.
so.
And so now, as the curator at ArtServe, what advice do you have for emerging artists or artists who would like to get involved with an organization like ArtServe? Do you have any pet peeves when it comes to collaborators? Are there any traits or habits that you have been really impressed by and that really allow people to like make a mark and be memorable to you? What advice do you have for artists looking to exhibit
I would
at galleries?
say, yeah, I will say, just be authentic, immerse yourself in ideas or concepts that you're passionate about. Surrender to the creative process, with the ups and downs, ups and lows. Be organized. Make sure that you document and collect all significant materials and data, because you never know when you're going to need it. And revise it once in a while, because, just reevaluate. And lastly, expose yourself to, to works by other artists, be inspired. Expose yourself to knowledge. Just keep in mind, keep your mind stimulated with new information. That's how your practice will evolve, and also, you in a more profound level, I will say. Yeah, and this is something that I talk a lot with the artists that that we manage. It's just organization is everything. And I'm always reminding my artists, just make sure that you collect all your materials, you document your process, because every single thing counts. Your bio, your artist statement, all your
Mm-hmm.
package, the whole package. That's you know that's your portfolio. That's what you are
Right.
going to eventually submit. And also, that's kind of like the base when you go to a gallery or a museum, and you present a curatorial proposal or an exhibition proposal. You have to have that base, and that's going to be the foundation of that structure. So that's always my advice to the artist.
Absolutely. And that is something that certain artists struggle with. They want to be able to be fully dedicated to their practice, and drafting an artist statement for some artists seems like a superfluous activity. They should be busy
Yes.
working on their work and not writing about their work.
It's challenging, but you know what? Like, this is also an important part of the process, because and I have experienced it myself. Sometimes when I go back and I try to put, like, just to put my ideas and concepts into words, and I'm writing about it, you know I go into a self-discovery process. I might think of,
Mhm.
it helps me to brainstorm at the same time. So it's a multidimensional process for me. And it can help a lot of artists just to write about their work. They can
Absolutely.
discover, yeah, they
Right.
can discover aspects of their work that they might, never
Yeah,
knew.
helps them to look more closely. Just because it's uncomfortable or challenging doesn't mean that it's not good for you. So I definitely agree with that. Let's talk a little bit more about your exhibitions at ArtServe. So almost every single ArtServe exhibition incorporates community engagement opportunities and art
Mm-hmm.
education components for children. How do you source teaching artists and artists to run workshops and help with community projects?
Okay, so as you know, ArtServe went through this process of transition where after 30 years, we had to reevaluate and redefine the values and the mission of the organization. And one of the components that we consider essential as an arts and culture organization, aside from the exhibitions or as component of our exhibitions, was to have a wide range of programming and engagements
Mm-hmm.
available to the community. So, including workshops, lectures, talks, trainings, special performances. So, most of these programming was available to our community at no cost, and it was um, open to everyone. But I will say that our first initiative with children actually was supposed to happen in April and May of this year.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
but it was postponed.
Right,
Yeah, it was postponed to the following year due to COVID-19.
right.
But this initiative in particular will offer programming to kids from elementary Title I schools in Broward County. And the programming will be possible in part thanks to grant funding. Um, but um, just to mention that as we reopen the door, like prepare to reopen our doors in the near future, we're working on developing a calendar
Mm-hmm.
with awesome programming, from professional development to artistic skills classes to kids classes. And Ryan Bergmer from our team is working really hard to make that happen. She's a rock star, and we're excited to come back bigger and better. So, how do we outsource our teaching artists? Most of these teaching artists are ArtServe resident artists.
Okay.
Um, and we also have a process where artists can submit a proposal. If an artist out there have a great idea and need a space where they can execute this idea or this project, they can always come to us. And if there's an opportunity to work together, we're always open to collaboration. We have a great space right now. Again, we're preparing to reopen.
Reopen.
We don't know when this is going to happen. Hopefully very soon. um, but we're working towards that goal. So
Okay. And in terms of those artist proposals and that submission platform, is that something that they can access on ArtServe's website?
yes, so right now we're actually launching our new website in the next few weeks, and
Oh,
the artists
exciting.
will be able to submit directly from the website. But at this moment, if someone is interested, they can just reach out to me directly or to Ryan, and I think our contact information is on the current website.
Okay, perfect. And would you recommend that artists, describe their artistic project, and if they have something of this nature, supply some programming ideas as well, like descriptions for workshops that they could run or lectures that they could give or artist talks? Is that something that you all consider and look at as well?
Yes,
Okay.
100%, 100%, and also we're very open to work with the artists developing these projects.
All right, let's go to some fun topics just to wrap up this wonderful chat. Um, what music are you listening to these days?
Oh, okay. I love music. I get my kind of like my fevers when I get into a band or musician. Like I can listen on repeat for weeks. What am I listening now? I was listening to Alabama Shakes in the car on my way to ArtServe this morning.
Oh,
Do you
wow.
know them?
Okay. Yes.
There's like a blues rock band. I mean, I love
Mm-hmm.
this lady's voice. What's her name? Um, Brittany something. Brittany. Yeah, I mean,
I
her
don't know
voice is just
offhand, but I
amazing.
do agree with you. Her voice is
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. And then when you're not working on exhibitions and cultural projects, how do you spend your free time?
What is that? My free time. What do I do? I love to read. I read out loud to my daughter, to drive her crazy. Um, I love, I love the ocean. I actually live a few blocks from the beach. So every opportunity I have, I just go there. That's actually one of the little pleasures in life that I really enjoy. Just
Mm-hmm.
walk or bike to the beach after work. I'm also learning how to cook. I started watching like some cooking videos on YouTube during isolation. So I'm doing that when I'm in the mood. And then, all my fun activities are art related. So there's always
Right.
like a good play or a good opening to go to. I mean, that's my world. And I love seeing and experiencing art, especially when I discover a new artist, and I become like totally obsessed with their work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, mostly art related stuff.
So during this quarantine period, how have you been researching artists? Has it mostly been on Instagram? Do you just do kind of Google searches? Do you look at local or just, I guess right now, global museums and see who they're showing? Where's your favorite source for finding artists right now?
All of the above.
Okay.
I am very resourceful when it comes to like online. I look, obviously on social media. Um, and also I've been doing like a lot of like virtual gallery tours.
Mm-hmm.
And also these past 3 months, they have been an amazing number of like virtual engagements, like digital engagement, artist chats and virtual studio visits and virtual gallery tours. And I mean, it's just amazing. So I've
Absolutely.
been doing a lot of that. Yes.
It really, I think, along with all of the arts organizations that are putting together virtual programs and
Mm.
engagement opportunities, I've been really inspired by seeing what artists as individuals are
Yes.
creating, in order to keep people engaged with what they're making, to provide opportunities for communication and
Mm.
education and just bonding. It's been really remarkable to see the initiative that artists are taking just across the board.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you. Um, I think that, it was just a great opportunity to explore just new ways to connect and engage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it has been very interesting to see artists kind of like getting out of their comfort zone, because most of the artists that I know, they are not in social media or marketing people, but I think artists just truly experimenting and exploring other platforms, like digital platforms.
Right. Yeah, artists have been known for their absolute ability to adapt to uncertain circumstances, and we're definitely
Hmm.
seeing that right in front of us, from the safety of our own homes. So I'm very grateful for that and very proud to be involved, as I'm sure you are too.
Yes.
All right, Sophie. Well, thank you so much for giving our listeners a bit of insight into who you are as a person, as an artist, as an arts professional, and a curator. Thank you for your honesty and vulnerability. It has just been such a delight to speak with you. If anyone would like to get a hold of you, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for this space. I had fun. uh, People can reach me at Sophie, my name, Sophie, B as in boy, at artserve.org. I think that's the best way to reach me. I seriously live in my email all day. So
Yeah, Sophie is very, very responsive and, ultra professional. So, definitely share your ideas with her. As you've heard, she's very open and receptive, as an artist to other artists. You only get the utmost respect from her. And just thank you so much, Sophie. I look forward to seeing you in person, hopefully very soon.
Same. Yes, likewise. I cannot wait.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.